After spending less than Birmingham in the summer transfer window, Man City have had a very poor start and probably middle to the season, which has led to Pep Guardiola once again having to splash the cash for Man City. It's episode 15 today. I'm Louis Sellin. I'm joined once again by Annabel Bassett. Today we're going to be looking at City's January signings so far, ranking them, talking a little bit about them, and potentially looking at more incomings the next couple of days that could happen. So sit back, relax, and welcome back to Midweek Fixture. So welcome back again, Annabel. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Straight away, we are 4 days away from the end of the window. Out of 10 overall, how happy are you with City's window so far?
Ooh. It's been a different one though, because we signed quite a few youngsters, which I didn't expect. But I would still say probably like an 8, just because we've been quite active compared to prior. And I think it's just quite necessary because you don't always want to be active because it's notorious for sort of
Yeah,
getting bad deals. But we've needed to, and I think we've done the
yeah,
business that we've wanted to. So I'd have to say like an 8 for sure.
100%. I feel like it's kind of similar to a Brighton window. You can't really rate it until the next 2-3 years when you actually see how the players play and they're integrated into the squad.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, because I think a lot of these players, as we said, they're so young. It's like, are they going to play now, or is it more like train them and coach them, and then they'll play later on? So yeah, we'll have to see how successful it actually has been. But on paper, it seems to be
Yeah,
quite good.
a lot of potential you've brought in.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start off with a deal that technically wasn't done in January, but his loan deal ended on December the 31st, and it's a player that I really like, young Argentine. Any young Argentine midfielder attacker is always going to have a lot of potential, and
Yeah.
that is Echeverri.
Yep.
Thoughts on him straight away?
Yeah, well, I didn't know much about him. You hear him come out of the woodwork, and you're like, okay, who is this player? Sort of, what can they offer us going forward? And as you said, he's an attacking midfielder, which I think is a part of the pitch that City really need to upgrade, especially with the age. Sort of not on our
Yeah,
side at the moment with Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and Phil Foden perhaps not firing up until the start of this new year, where his stats have completely improved.
yeah,
But no, I think for Echeverri, he looks really good. As you said, a young Argentine is always going to be full of flair and talent. And I believe in the under 20s, I think it was under 20s
yeah,
competition, World Championships, he played for Argentina and they won 6-0 against Brazil, which is obviously a massive result in
yeah.
a massive rivalry sort of game there. And yeah, he scored two and inspired them to victory and really impressed. So I think City have obviously had him on their radar and he's going to help us in the next few years, but potentially not at the moment. I think there's talk of him, obviously now he's coming in, but after this season, maybe in the summer, him going on loan for a season, which will obviously help him a lot. So that would be interesting to see, especially if, like you were saying, perhaps the Premier League team or, well, not Premier League, sorry, but an English team to sort of
Yeah,
get him used to the league would be really useful. So, yeah,
yeah.
no, I think
Any
it's all
sort of
positive.
championship move, either a Spanish move or a Germany move would be good for him, I think,
Yeah,
because South American football is completely different to European football
yeah, yeah. No, that is very true.
because they can develop that technical skills in Argentina, but the intensity and physicality
Yeah,
isn't really there compared to what he's gonna need if he's gonna replace De Bruyne, for example.
yeah, no, that is very true, and big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
As you said, physicality is something he can definitely work on. I mean, he's very young as well. Is he 18?
yeah, very young player. I think
18.
he's 18, 19. Yeah,
Yeah, but for a 3-year deal as well, it just shows the intent I think we've got. Obviously, there are
yeah,
questions over whether we're going to be able to spend like this in the future if we do get sort of like a financial charge or repercussions. But if you're looking at that, at least there's the investment now.
yeah.
So no, it's looking
Preparing.
good.
Yeah, but there is quite a few young Argentine attacking midfielders slash wingers coming out at the moment. Obviously, Echeverri. We've got Facundo Buonanotte,
Yeah,
who's probably out of the list of young Argentine midfielders is probably the top at the moment,
no,
most experienced so far. And then you've got 17-year-old Mastantuono, who I think is an unbelievable player. Has just been linked to Liverpool. Could be a move to watch.
yeah,
End of this window. They're trying to convince him, but we shall see.
for sure.
So I'm going to ask you for a ranking
Oh, okay.
A, B, C, or D for your signings, every single one. A being the best, obviously, D being why have we signed them. Where would you put Echeverri?
I mean, he's a talented prospect, as you said, an Argentine. We've had a few Argentines come through our ranks and have been brilliant. So I'd probably say Oh, I don't know if a C is harsh. It's only because when we discuss later transfers, you're
Yeah.
looking at the likes of Mamouche and you're thinking, okay, there's sort of levels here, and as you said, experience. Um, a C just at the moment, but I think in a
Yeah.
few years we'll be saying, he's hopefully
Yeah.
contributed a lot and is more like an A or a B.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. It's hard to say right now, but I
Mm.
like throwing you under the bus, getting you.
Thank you.
And then we move on to a player who, honestly, I've never heard of.
Oh,
I doubt you have never heard of him before this.
probably not, no.
And that is McFarlane
Yeah, it's true.
from New York City FC, part of the City Group, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming on a free.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't really know what's going on with him. Is he coming into you, or is he staying on a loan move or something? I'm not entirely sure. You tell me about him.
Oh God, I'm not entirely sure about that either. But I do believe I think he was joining us. I'm not sure, but there was no mention of, as you said, like the price. There was a market value of €2 million, but
Yeah,
obviously that isn't what we're paying. I don't believe. But it's a talented prospect as well because I think he's played with England international under like the age group, so under 20s, etc. So that's nice to know that he's also English because that means he could be an exciting prospect not only for City but for the England national side. But no, he shows real potential, I believe, because he's, well, from what I've read, very good defensively and also gets into offensive positions, which is something that we need. If you're getting up the pitch as well and contributing in that area, then City are all about that. You've got to be versatile. I mean, we saw that with Guardiola going off on a tangent, but against Chelsea, he was almost acting as a centre forward rather than traditional centre back. Although he's been occupying left back as well at the moment, so you need that versatility about you.
yeah,
So McFarlane seems to be someone who, has got a lot of potential for us.
yeah. Honestly, before the City move,
Yeah.
didn't even have a link really to him.
Mm.
Before that, it kind of just come out of nowhere. So it's quite hard to give him an analysis on this, but
Yeah, no, it's
definitely
true.
one to look out for. As City do need a fullback.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because I've wrote down here, got one note on something that I actually looked at as a specific game. He played in the League's Cup, not exactly sure what that is, against Querétaro, however you pronounce that. And it was almost impossible to tell he was a teenager, people were saying, just because of how good he was and his confidence. And they said if you look at the stats, like he completed 83% of his passes, won 57.8% of his duels, and even 75% of his dribbles were completed. So if you're looking at those stats, you almost compare that to a senior player. So it's something that, we can really look forward to in him. And as you said, we do need a fullback with obviously Walker departing the club and Rico Lewis, perhaps, uncertainty over his future at the club. So obviously Guardiola is a natural centre back, but has been brilliant in that left back role. But Nunes maybe out of his depth recently when he played against PSG in that right back role.
Yeah.
So definitely good to get a youngster under our belt who has a lot of promise.
Yeah, because I think the way Pep Guardiola plays, fullbacks are really important to the system.
Yeah,
And you literally don't have a proper fullback, I'd say.
No, we've had to adapt so much this season, and as you said, fullbacks are crucial. I mean, against Chelsea, we pushed really high. I think we almost took inspiration from PSG, where they had Nuno Mendes and Hakimi were pushing up the pitch, and it just completely, sort of suffocated us when we tried to attack. But I definitely think with us doing that against Chelsea, it really helped. So I definitely think fullbacks are crucial to sort of pressurising the opposition and almost acting, as you said, as like a wing back. So
yeah,
no, it was really good.
You've had a lot of injuries, but
Yeah.
You only signed Savio really in the summer as your first team player.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't move for a fullback then because you needed one in the summer anyway. You had Walker then, but not
I
really
completely agree.
top level anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anyone ever predicted it though. Like we saw with Gundogan, we re-signed him thinking he could almost give us what he used to, and he departed, tried something new, and definitely wanted to come back. But he hasn't really offered us the same as what he was. And same with Walker. I think we didn't anticipate that these senior players would almost lose their star qualities for us. And obviously, it's being compounded by Rodri's injury and other factors as well. But no, I definitely think a fullback is really important, and I was surprised we didn't sign one then. But I think it's because we thought we could rely, as I said, on Rico as well. Like he was starting to play more, and right at the beginning of this season, I thought he was fantastic against the likes of Chelsea. And then he's just obviously been brought into midfield, and it's not gone too well for him. So I definitely think we were maybe naive, but at the time I thought it was okay. But now it's good to see that sort of investment in that area.
Yeah. Now, moving on to the third signing of January, one that's caused much controversy across everywhere in
Yeah,
Spain, signing from Real Valladolid.
yeah,
That is Bar for apparently around £6 million.
yeah. I think it was that. I'm just going to check. Yeah, no, no, it was. Yeah, he's a centre back, I believe, and as you said,
Yeah,
from Real Valladolid.
Valladolid,
Good
something like that.
pronunciation. I'm not going to try that. But yeah, he was playing in, was it West Africa prior to that, or there was something like this.
Yeah, I think it was definitely one of the African leagues because he's from Sierra Leone,
Yeah, that's the one.
and I think it was like their third tier or something.
Okay, yeah,
Just over a year ago,
mm,
made the move to Spain. It's been
yeah,
playing around their academy as
yeah. That's
well, and then there was a big controversy about you tapping him up, having to break his contract, and
yeah,
then him having to put a big statement out that it's false
yeah. No, it's
accusations and
true.
everything like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, Barr and his agent, they decided to pay for the release clause so that they could
Yeah,
leave early. Obviously, the Spanish club he was with, and apparently they threatened to take matters to court. But then they basically haven't said much apart from releasing a statement on the 22nd of January. So since then, we haven't heard anything else. Which
no,
obviously, as a City fan, you're hoping it won't go much further because they're basically saying City sort of persuaded him to break his release clause. But
yeah,
I think, yeah, naturally we're going to do that because we want to invest in him before any other club sort of wants him. But yeah, it's a difficult situation, obviously, because Real Valladolid would have wanted to have held on to him. But it's the player's choice at the end of the day, and obviously his agent got involved as well for the sake of him and his future, really.
See, tapping up happens a lot. It shouldn't happen,
Yeah.
but it happens all the time. Because, in my opinion, you can't. I don't think you can bid for a player
Mm.
without knowing that they want to come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point in wasting time bidding and bidding to then get to the talks with the player and then be like, don't want to join? What's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think with him it was just I don't really know the situation, but if we've advised him to break his release clause, he obviously wanted to join us. It's just a difficult thing for him and his agent to have to do because
Yeah,
then you cause grievances within the club. But
yeah,
he shows a lot of promise. Sort of, obviously we're touching on that situation, which isn't ideal, but he does show a lot of promise, and we do need sort of a centre back, I guess. So we have brought in quite a few defensive players in this window.
yeah. So
So
he's gone
yeah,
out on loan, hasn't he?
yeah, I think he has as well. I don't actually know what's happening with that. I'm not sure.
See, Lens put out that
Yeah,
they signed him on loan from you once he completed
that
your
was it.
registration with you.
Yes.
So I guess he's going to be playing in Liga 1
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
rest
No,
of
I
this
think so.
season. So it'd be a good to watch him there. I mean, a lot of clubs were after him. Newcastle were
Oh.
big admirers of him, and they thought they were front of the queue to get him. But
Mm,
as we'll hear with another player later on, City swoop in
yeah.
and can't compete financially. Talking to Newcastle, actually, the three centre backs you have signed were
Yeah.
all on. Newcastle tried to sign all of them,
Oh wow.
but couldn't because of their FFP issues.
Oh,
But
okay.
you have big money issues in
Yeah.
terms of the Premier League, and you could sign all three of them.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the FFP things. They're like, you managed to sign three. Newcastle couldn't even sign one of them.
Yeah.
How's that fair?
I don't know what the situation is. I guess because Newcastle have actually been convicted, are we saying, of FFP? Whereas
They
Manchester City, it's like ongoing. Plus, I always come back to this with the 115. It sounds astronomical, that sort of number. But I think that was more of a Premier League statement to sort of get everyone talking and get people sort of hassling City in a way. But it's more like 3 or 5, I think, serious sort of charges. But they
yeah,
just amount it up to make it sound bigger. But as I said, we'll have to see. I mean, with the signings we're making and Erling Haaland extending his contract for, what was it, 115 months? It seems
something like that. Yeah.
it seems we're sort of mocking the situation, and that we know it's going to be okay, whether that is, a fine or points deduction. It doesn't seem to be something that's going to potentially affect players coming in. So, yeah, I'm not sure about Newcastle. I think that's unlucky, but it just depends. Different situations, very much so, with City and then Newcastle.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this window points to you thinking you might have a transfer ban.
Yeah, I was discussing that with Ian Cheeseman the other day, and he actually believes, sort of from the insight he's gathered, that perhaps we are going to get, as you said, like a transfer ban. So we're signing players for like 4.5 years, 4 years to sort of keep them at the club whilst we maybe perhaps can't sign players, and especially with youth. If we do get a ban, there by the end of that they'll already be quite senior players who can contribute a lot
Yeah.
to our side. So it's building for the future, and as you said, potentially because of that transfer ban.
So Chelsea had that, and it actually worked really well for them. they had their ban. They used all their young players,
Yeah.
and then obviously the whole Todd Bowley thing happened, and they
Mm,
fell off. They come back this season,
yeah.
but
That's true.
having that Frank Lampard developing the young players has massively helped them. So maybe that's something that you're going to look at, bringing these players in.
Yeah.
But now moving on to the next signing, another centre back. I don't know why you need 3 extra centre backs, but
Yeah.
you brought in a player that Brighton were desperately trying to get, as they desperately need a centre back. We have Van Heck, who is completely fit. Webster's just come back from an injury. Dunk has just come back from an injury. Both been quite inconsistent this season. Also had injury problems. Igor is out for the season with had surgery on his thigh. We were talking 20, 25 million. City come in 37 million euros, which is about £30 million, give or take. 25, 30, rising with the add-ons. And yeah, you signed 18-year-old Vitor Reis from Palmeiras. Fantastic signing for you,
Yeah.
I would say.
Mm.
And he has potential to be a top 5 in the world. But quickly, before you comment on that, I did not get you to give a ranking on Bar.
Oh.
A, B, C, or D.
Very true. On Bar.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Well, obviously, I believe he's there at an RC Lens until June, so he could feature in the Club World Cup. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but yeah, he's there till then. But looking forward to the future when he does obviously start playing for us. He's very young, but should we go for another C? I'm not entirely sure. I'd say another C, yeah.
And I assume you'd put McFarlane in the same category as well.
Oh, yes, we didn't even touch on McFarlane. Yeah, I believe so as well. They're all sort of around that same level of excitement at the moment and potential for sure.
Yeah, so back to Vitor Reis now.
Yeah.
Give me your take on him. I think he is unbelievable, and I'm hoping he gets minutes for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was discussing this with my dad actually because he's another big City fan like myself, and we were saying, we want to see him get playtime because, as you were saying, it's a bit unfair when teams like Brighton, who, as you said, really need those players and would play them. Whereas with City, it's like if we don't play him, one, that's unfair to him and his growth, and two, it's just it makes you question why we have invested in him. But of course, as you said, a great signing. I'm very pleased, and obviously it's a 4.5-year deal, so it's quite a long time for him to commit to us. And as you said, hopefully he'll be a senior player and really influence us over the next few years. But I think it's brilliant. I've seen that he's a top player. I know Palmeiras, if that's how you pronounce the club he's with. He wanted, the club wanted him to stay until after the Club World Cup, but obviously City wanted to swoop in there now just due to the amount of attention he was gathering. So, I think it's really good that we've managed to get it done now. And as I said, the club, Palmeiras, not wanting him to leave until after the Club World Cup just shows, his ability and his importance to them. And I believe from certain fans and the media outlets, he's been described in Brazil as ET for Palmeiras, which is a very interesting comparison. At first, I was like, why are you calling him an alien? But then I realised it means he's out of this world. He's almost from another planet in a way for the team. And just that ever since, I think he had his senior debut in June, they said. So not long ago. But he's made 22 appearances since then and obviously really impressed. So no, it sounds like a very good signing. It's described that his composure on the pitch is top, which obviously for such a youngster is a really important quality to have. We saw it with Kusanov, maybe not so much of a great debut, but his composure to then get back into that first half was so important. So, if he's got composure, that's key as a centre-back, and maturity as well. I believe he's described as being so much more mature for his age and used to sort of playing under risk and being involved in build-up play, which is everything that you need, especially in today's game, but also for City, that sort of playing out from the back and defending efficiently. He's got all of that. Yeah. So, no, his potential is incredible. So I'm very pleased to have signed him. And I mean, the price tag shows it too, almost £30 million. For such a young age, I think that just shows sort of, his potential.
Yeah, 100%. I did a big breakdown on him in an article.
Yeah.
Hasn't had that many senior appearances.
Okay.
As you said, made his debut not that long ago.
Yeah.
He looks unbelievable. Yes, he's a Brazilian league. Difficult to give a full, this is how good he's going to be.
Oh,
but
true, yeah.
Composure, as you said, ball playing abilities is really important for City.
Yeah.
Unbelievable on the ball. Strong, win the headers.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd like to see him in a back three, but I don't think Pep's going to change to a back three anytime soon.
Yeah.
But he can definitely play in a 4, and big signing for you, I'd say. For me, personally, this is your signing of the window. But
nice. I was going to say I wouldn't put him at a C with the other players. The sort of gravitas he has around him. Obviously, the tag of ET. It sounds incredible as well. So no, probably I'd say like a B. I know we're not on that bit yet, but a B.
Yeah, personally, I'd put him as an A,
An A, yeah.
but
Fair play.
I can see why you put him in a B at the moment.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
think
just the youth, isn't it? And whether he will actually get as much playtime as we hope.
next couple of years he'll be A star.
Yeah. Fair, I like to see that. That would be really good.
It's to me, it screams Real Madrid at the
Oh,
age of 25.
no. We want him to stay with us, but no, I get you. Especially if you want to win a Ballon d'Or and sort of all those big trophies and accolades. I think, yeah, Real Madrid is always an attraction. So if you're predicting that, then that's good for City that while he stays till maybe 25, he's going to give us a lot. But I know, I hope he doesn't leave.
He'll be the most expensive centre back of all time.
Wow.
I believe that, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll be wrong.
Well, we'll see. I think that's the exciting thing about youngsters is if you really watch them and, as you said, like scout them sort of thing, you can see their potential and get excited for the future.
Yeah. Now moving on
Yeah.
to Kusanov,
Yeah.
the first Uzbekistan player in the Premier League. Price tag of about 40 million.
Yeah.
Another centre back that was tracked by Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
And you've come in, you've swooped in, taken him away from him. He has made his Premier League debut. Big call from Pep to start him against Chelsea. As you said, made a horrendous muck up to start with. That header. That I think that shows the intensity difference to the French League and the Premier League.
Oh, agreed, yeah.
You don't, in French League, you're probably rarely having that player closing you down there with a header, unless when Mbappe and that was there. Different story.
Yeah.
But what do you make of his debut? What do you make of him as a signing? Do you think he's going to be worth the price tag, or is he already worth the price tag?
Yeah, well, it was 33.8 million, which is a big price tag. And, we're talking about Vitor Reich and how exciting he can be. But then you're looking at the price tag of, Abdulkadir Kusanov, and you're thinking this is almost the same level. But no, I think he did well against Chelsea. Obviously, that first goal was not great to have conceded, but there is an argument to make that there was a bit of miscommunication there. Naturally, he doesn't speak the language. You've got a senior player like Akanji who has come out and said he was trying to protect him all game and sort of look after him. But at the same time, there was hesitancy from Akanji, I would say, that sort of led Kusanov to, when he was going to the ball, then hesitate. And then obviously he then has no other option, which he would probably have kicked it prior back to Edison. He then decides to sort of header it, misheaders it, and then Madueke goes in and scores. But no, the way that he can compose himself, especially because he was booked like a minute later as well for another challenge, is it's vital. And also, I will touch on the fact that one of his key attributes is his physicality, and he has no fear in sliding into a tackle and making those challenges, which is what you need in the Premier League. And you saw that maybe it was untimely from him for the yellow card, but he definitely doesn't hold back in that department, and I think that's something we need, I don't want to compare him to Van Dijk. Of course, that would be incredible to see if he could hit that trajectory, but Van Dijk is someone who's quite strong on the ball and not afraid to put in a challenge, and I think that's one of Kusanov's main traits. He made a vital block as well against, I think it was Jackson, to deny them a second goal when we were really under pressure. So, he almost kept us in the game in certain ways and grew into it. So I think that's very important. And I'm just glad Pep didn't take him off either, at the 5-minute mark or even the 45-minute mark. It's nice he had a little bit more time at the second half before, he had to be taken off in case he got that second yellow.
Yeah, I think the media focused on that mistake and the booking. But after that, I think he grew into the game and he had a solid, maybe 6, 7 out of 10 performance, which is not bad for your Premier League debut against Chelsea, who are on fire at the moment. He looks strong, good in the air, pretty composed on the ball as well. And that Akanji statement from him is absolutely wild. There's a video where Akanji just stops running and he just lets Kusanov take the rest of it. He's trying to defend 2-3 players on his own and he makes the block. And Akanji just stands there that's not what you need from a
exactly. Yeah, there's got to be questions over Akanji in that department, especially as you said, after the sort of wild remarks he makes about trying to protect him. It's like Kusanov was on his own, as you said, to sort of block that shot. And he did very well. And hopefully going forward, they're going to build up those partnerships so that they can rely on one another better. And of course, it's also just about knowing how players like to receive the ball and play the ball. Because at the moment, they have no sort of patterns and connections with each other. So I think it was a very bold move from Pep to play him. I know he keeps saying, we can't compete without a full squad, and that's why we've bought so many players in this window. But to throw a youngster into such a big game, it's a top 4 clash, really. I thought it was brave, and yeah, Kusanov managed to deal with it, but I personally wouldn't have played him. Mamouche makes sense, just because we want another attacking outlet. Obviously, Doku is injured at the moment. But yeah, it was interesting to see him play.
Yeah, see, Kusanov, another centre-back in.
Yep.
Reece, Bart, Kusanov, in the long run,
Yeah.
I want to see a back three.
Potentially, yeah.
I'd love to see a back three of that in the long run with
Yeah.
some proper wing backs. I think it would work really well. But that remains to be seen. Where do you put him on our ranking scale?
Ooh. I wanted to go for a B, but I don't know if that's a bit rogue considering. But
I agree.
Because, yeah, he's just got that slight edge perhaps. Obviously, he's already played as well for us, so we've sort of seen he is solid at the back. And with time, it'll definitely help him. And I don't think the only difficult thing is obviously going into the February month, our schedule is crazy, and the teams we've got, apart from Leighton Orient, I don't believe he'll feature again, just because the magnitude of the games is even bigger, you'd argue, than Chelsea, with obviously Arsenal coming up and then Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham. But we'll have to see how much he does feature. But I'd like to see him, as I said, in the FA Cup to sort of give him another game and a bit more experience. But no, I'd say a B just for what he's shown and yeah, what he can give us. And obviously the price tag as well sort of suggests he's hopefully going to be one for the long run.
I think Pep starts him in everyone.
Really? Against
He started against Chelsea, so why not?
Wow. I mean, tonight, are you saying tonight as well? Well, he can't actually against Club Brugge. He can't. But say he could have, I still don't think he would start against Club Brugge.
I think he would. The fact that he's thrown him in against Chelsea says to me that he trusts him and he wants to play him.
Yeah.
And why not? You're probably not going to win the league.
No, I don't think so at all.
Why not just play him and get him this 6 months? I always think if there's nothing really to play for in this second half of the season, there's always something to play for, really. But
yeah, I get you.
Bring the players in now.
Yeah.
And let them play this 6 months, so you don't have to do that 6 months at the start of next season.
No, I do agree to an extent, and yeah, I could see that, and especially because I think the main reason he also played was John Stones on the bench, and we didn't want to rush him back because that's been the story of City's season a lot. Is we bring a player in, they get injured again. Happened with Ruben Diaz a few times. So looking at that, I think Pep was obviously like, we need new players. He keeps saying this, so to bring in Kusanov into that game, it allowed John, even though John had to come on anyway, sort of allowed him a bit of time on that bench. So yeah, it just depends on injuries and that, whether Kusanov will play, because obviously John is getting fitter. I'm not sure about, I don't know if Ruben's still out. I'm not entirely sure, but we do have players keep coming back and in and out of injury, so he might feature more than I predict, yeah.
Right, moving on to your final signing so far. That's not to say you might have some more, which we're going to touch on in a minute. But that is probably the biggest signing of the January transfer window so far, I'd say, for around 75 million, give or take, add-ons and stuff as well, probably takes a little bit higher. That is the man that I've just seen described as a cheater, not in terms of cheating, in terms of being an animal, with his speed, his low sense of gravity, and his agility, and that is Omar Mamouche.
So Omar Mamouche, I think, is a great signing. I know you said, 75 million?
Yeah,
I think you said?
euros. So
Yeah, I think it was 59 million pounds. So that's not as high, but it's still obviously a very big price to be paying in January. But for a player of his stature and obviously his experience as well, I think he's 25 years old. So yeah, he's got a lot of experience under his belt and a 5-year deal. So he's sort of committing to us for the rest of his senior career, unless then he goes back to perhaps an Egyptian side or somewhere else. But no, I think it's really good to see such a top player, obviously at Frankfurt, join us. So yeah, scored 15 goals, I believe, this season for Frankfurt and 9 assists. So it just shows he's very versatile. I believe he can play in like any forward position. So winger, obviously striker. We saw him double up with Haaland as sort of, would you say 2 nines? Is that what you'd say?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so they both played and sort of gave us an extra option and a bit more unpredictability, because people aren't used to City sort of playing 2 strikers. We saw that a bit in the Prem and mostly in the Champions League with Alvarez and Haaland. So it's nice to see almost an Alvarez replacement, because that has been a topic that people have talked about a lot with City since he left the club.
Yeah, I think you look a lot better with 2 strikers up front. You can play that long ball into Haaland. The goal that come against Chelsea, long ball into Haaland, knocks it round the corner to Mamouche. I think it worked well.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. I was really impressed by his link-up play, because Mamouche obviously hasn't had a lot of time, same with Kusanov, to build those connections. But Mamouche was making forward runs and joining in that build-up play with even Guardiola. I mean, that was surreal to see him in that striker position almost as well. They were all getting forward, but I think they combined really well, and he just looks so tenacious and confident. And even when you watch the interviews, language for one thing isn't a barrier for not for Kusanov, sorry, for Mamouche. He's definitely got a lot more sort of confidence in his ability, and he'll be able to just slot right in, I think, with City. Yeah, so it's really good signing. And as you said, it makes it a lot more difficult to defend. We saw, with Haaland perhaps with not being as fast or as pacey as Kusanov. Sorry, not Kusanov. Oh, Kusanov's on my mind. With Mamouche, you sort of see that Haaland can sort of loiter back on the edge of the box, and Mamouche can attack the 6, and then 6-yard box, and then that allows us to sort of have another threat. So if Mamouche doesn't finish those chances, like he almost got on the end of one and could have scored in his debut, and he scored another that was offside. But no, that really shows the exciting promise, and as I said, it allows Haaland to follow up those chances. So we've got a lot more attacking threat now, I'd say, if they both play.
Yeah, I think he looks a very good signing. We'll have to see a bit more of him in the Prem, because you can never base everything off the Premier League debut, because we've had players at Brighton who have looked world beaters on the debut, and they've actually turned out to be pretty naff. But it's the adrenaline as well.
Yeah, and I'd say vice versa. You never know. Players do grow.
Yeah, 100%. So where would you rank Omar Mamouche in our ABCD? You've got 3 in C, 1 in B, 1 in A. Where do you put him?
Gotta be A. Yeah. Wait, did I already have a player in A?
Yeah.
Who's joined Mamouche?
I put Reece in A. You might have put Reece in B.
Okay, makes sense. Yes, I said Reece in B, and we're going to go with Mamouche for sure in A. I think just because he's got that more experience, he's obviously played for a top side in Frankfurt. The stats speak for themselves. Yeah, he's got to be an A, and I definitely think if we progress in the Champions League, obviously tonight is a big match to see if we even make the playoffs. Yeah. But if we get past the playoffs, then he can start to feature, and he could really help us sort of turn around our season in those latter stages.
Yeah, 100%. So moving on, we have got until 11 p.m. Monday night for the deadline. There's been a few more players that you have been linked with. We're just going to touch on them quickly. Do you think you're going to sign them? Do you think you should sign them?
Okay.
And what do you reckon? So we'll start with one that looks like it probably will happen. That is Cambiasso, fullback from Juventus. You're looking at about 50, 60 million, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the price tag. Yeah, no, actually, 60 to 65 I've got written here in euros, so maybe slightly less in pounds, but still, a lot more money again being spent by City. He looks really good. Obviously, Juventus, fullback, right? Yeah. Fullback and wing-backs. Yeah. He's quite versatile in that regard. And as we saw against Chelsea, wing-backs are, quite important for pushing up that pitch. We saw Nunes and Guardiola doing that. But I think he's a great signing if that does materialise. I know we're hopefully putting in a bid in the next few hours. Especially because he can't play tonight for Juventus against Benfica due to his injury. So it sort of allows for stuff to happen whilst he's not on the pitch, still really committed to Juventus. But no, 24 years old as well, so experienced like Mamouche, obviously in a completely different position. But I think for for a fullback, you need that option. So no, I'm really looking forward to it. He can sort of bring a lot more of experience to the youngsters who we've obviously signed at the back as well.
Then we've got the next one is Naipan, 18-year-old Norwegian midfielder. Yeah. Technically would be a City signing, technically wouldn't, because it's been said it will be signing for Girona with a potential move to City in the future. He is an absolute baller, one of the biggest prospects in world football at the moment. Villa interested, City interested, Arsenal interested.
Yeah.
Big money it will be, likely to be quite big money for an 18-year-old. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, it seems that Arsenal are sort of leading the race to sign him, which is a big shame because, as you're saying, he's 18, one of the biggest prospects at the moment. And I think, if he signs for Arsenal, then you've got a player who can really develop and impact them for seasons to come and help them win the title, which has obviously eluded them, but so narrowly, really, in the last few seasons. But no, obviously, from a City perspective, I'd love to see us sign Naipan. But, I'm not sure. Obviously, I believe he's going to be at the match on Sunday, so a little opinion from me there is that we need to obviously impress him because he's there with Arsenal talking to the club officials. But I'd love to see us, put our mark on the game and produce a result sort of against the odds because obviously Arsenal really need to get that win at the Emirates on Sunday. So if we impress him, maybe there could be a 180, but I think Arsenal are in the driving seat.
Yeah.
But no, very talented youngster. I believe he's going to be available for around £10 million, which is such a small price when you're considering obviously the market today and the money that City have spent on other sort of signings this transfer window of a similar age as well. So no, it's a very good signing if obviously we make it, but it looks like Arsenal potentially could get him.
Yeah, I think the move for him would be Arsenal, personally, if
Yeah,
he has to pick between City or Arsenal. Would love,
yeah.
Brighton were in for him, would love to have seen him at Brighton. Villa would have been a
Oh,
great move, but
yeah.
if anyone's going to play him out of the big clubs, it's going to be Arsenal, I think.
Mm.
And then
Yeah, no, I get you.
Norwegian link up with Odegaard.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is
flip a
very true.
coin. Whoever wins out of City or Arsenal takes him.
Yeah, yeah, you think so? Yeah, it's a bit odd because also he's quite young. So, like you were saying, he'd be a great move for Aston Villa or Brighton. Why couldn't he sort of play there? But then I guess they wouldn't want to let him leave, and it'd make it more difficult in the future. So, yeah, if he can develop at Arsenal, because I do think City potentially wouldn't play him as much as like he would probably like to. Because as a CDM, that's a big position to play at such a young age. And also we've got Rodri. You know, he's not going to be injured forever. So there's always a concern coming to City as a central defensive midfielder that you're not going to play once obviously Rodri comes back.
Yeah, 100%. Touching on Arsenal quickly, I know this is not about Arsenal,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
apparently they're in for Matthias Tell. I mean, if Arsenal can end the window with Naipan and Tell, that would be a big end for them and could cause big implications for you now and in the future. If they can get Tell in on a loan with a buy option or they just buy him out right now, he is
Okay.
good forward. Will score them goals 100%. It's one
Yeah.
you need to look out for 100%.
Yeah, you were telling me he's unreal. What club does he play for again?
Love that little pun there.
How? How was that a pun?
You were telling me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were telling me about Tell, but yeah.
He's at Bayern at the moment. He wanted to stay at Bayern, but he doesn't think he's
it.
going to get the minute. So he's rejected
Yeah.
Chelsea apparently because there's too much competition. He said he wants to go and play, or he might as well just stay at Bayern. And
Yeah, exactly.
Arsenal need that proper centre forward, so that'll probably be the move for him. But last signing, potential signing, we're going to touch on for City. Apparently, there is a possibility you're going to offer a expensive loan move to Juve for Douglas Luiz.
Okay.
Probably the signing you need the most.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the only concern. Like, when we go back to the beginning, sort of a full moment or full circular moment for this podcast, I was saying at the beginning, the transfer window for City's been around an 8 out of 10. You can't say any higher than that because there is such a big role to be filled with Rodri. And we've seen it all season. Like, if you look at stats, no player has really ever compared to Rodri, and obviously Kovacic has tried, etc. So, no, Douglas Luiz is probably the most important player that we could bring in at the moment in that sort of position of the pitch. But as you said, it would be a loan move because, again, it's that thing of if Rodri returns, will Douglas Luiz just sort of be a backup for whenever he gets injured again or when we sort of wanted to play him in the cups? Because obviously that was the idea with Calvin Phillips, but obviously that signing didn't work out for either party. But yeah, no, I think Douglas Luiz, apparently Juventus have turned down City and Chelsea's bids so far. So we're going to have to see if City can sort of up the ante, so to speak, in the next few days before the window closes. But no, I think he's brilliant. He was incredible at Villa, as you said, probably one of the best, if not the best, central defensive midfielder in the league, I think you said.
Yeah, he was very good at Villa. Very, very good.
Yeah. And I think he's fallen out of favour with the Juventus fans.
Yeah,
from what
it hasn't really gone great for him over there.
No, so it's sort of like a move potentially is on the cards for him. And City would welcome him with open arms. You know, a lot of the fans have seen him play for Villa, so we'd love to see him play in a sky blue shirt, but we'll have to see if that does.
Wow, he's already played in a sky blue shirt before.
Oh, you are correct. That is very true. He used to play for City. I was reading something about this the other day. Pep said something about there was a reason which wasn't really to do with the fact we wanted him to go. There was like a predicament which meant he had to leave sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, if he is reunited with the club, fans who have seen him in a sky blue shirt and perhaps not and just seen him for Villa would definitely welcome him back for sure.
100%. So if you do manage to get Cambiasso, Luiz and potentially Naipan over the line, 10 out of 10 window?
That has got to be. I mean, the recruitment is unbelievable. Like from City, especially in January.
Yeah.
As I said, notorious for bad deals and a lot of money. But we've managed to, do it potentially if that does happen.
Yeah, there you go. That is a quick little roundup of City's window so far. Potential deals could happen in the next couple of days, few days. Be sure you are ready for a big deadline. I am sure on Monday and Sunday night will probably be crazy as well. And the next few days, we love a deadline. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Thanks, Annabel, for coming on once again.
No worries at all. It's a pleasure, Louis.
Adios.
Adios.